We have already spoken, or I have already spoken to Ralph from the University of Ghana about the Trade for SD project as part of a podcast. Our previous conversation was an online conversation. Now we managed to meet in person as well during the annual general meeting of Trade for SD. The purpose of the podcast is to provide information to our followers about what is the outcome of the project and what we expect from the project. Can you first of all introduce yourself very briefly and also the institution that you work for, and what is the role of you in the project?
Alright, my name is Ralph Armah. I'm a research fellow at the Institute for Statistical, Social and Economic Research at the University of Ghana. And on the Trade for SD project, I am one of the leads on the project in Ghana. We are one of two partners outside of the EU that the project is working with. So it's Ghana and Vietnam, and we are the Ghana company.
Yeah. Ghana is one of our case studies.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah.
And can you speak loud?
Okay. So Ghana is one of our case study area basically, where you provide your expertise to the project. Previously we talked about, you mentioned how the cocoa trade and the cocoa market works in Ghana. Today you had a slightly different presentation. Can you actually briefly describe your presentation and what was the outcome of your deliverable?
Okay, so this particular task of the work package 2 is looking at the non-product dimension of the kinds of things that we do. So we're looking basically at trade and how it affects the objectives that we want to achieve, right? So what I presented was basically to show that in order for us to attain certain sustainability development and certain sustainability goals, there is one key goal that we should look at, and that is the economic part of the goal. So we look at the economic, we look at the environmental, and then we look at the social part. Until we holistically address what we find in the economic, it will be very difficult, making gains with the environmental and then the social. And key among the points that I made was that if yields are low, farmers will be tempted to do extensification. They will go into forested areas. In other words, there will be deforestation, right? Then it is going against the environmental goal that we have set for ourselves, right? If farmers are not getting money to hire workers to work on their farm, it is likely they will use their children to work on their farm, right? Then it will be defeating the purpose of us wanting to achieve some no child labor, on the farm, right? So we need to critically look at how we can address some of these economic issues, and then by effect we'll be dealing with the environmental issues and we'll be dealing with the social issues. See, then I also mentioned that the regulation of cocoa production export in Ghana is different from what it is in other parts of the world. For example, in Ghana, we have a regulatory body, which is Cocoa Board, that regulates export of cocoa and cocoa-related activities in Ghana. Right. I mentioned that even the price of cocoa is calculated. So for every cropping year, we know what the price of a bag of cocoa will be. Cocoa Board does not do it alone, right? It is the regulatory body, but it doesn't do it alone. Cocoa Board will do it with representatives from the farmers' organization, from some NGO, key people or stakeholders who have a say when it comes to some of these things. So that's basically what I was saying, that without a critical look at the economic bit, then we will not be able to make significant inroads into environmental and social sustainability as we want the case to be.
In a way, this project is a research project, but we are not doing the research for the sake of the research. We would like to get a practical outcome. What do you think, or what is your expectation? What would be the best or positive outcome of this project that you can utilize in Ghana? What's your expectation?
You know, one of the key things is that, you know, Ghana is having an EPA with the EU. It's an economic partnership agreement with the EU. That excludes a trade and sustainability chapter, right? So even though we want to talk about sustainability issues, we want to talk about economic issues, we want to talk about environmental and then social issues, we don't have a chapter that addresses that. We don't have a chapter that says that, hey, these are the guidelines, do that, do this, right? So one of the things that this project is kind of like uncovering is the fact that we need to critically assess why we don't have a trade and sustainability chapter in the agreement, and why it is important for us to have that in the agreement. Mm-hmm. You know, then we'll be taking steps into addressing all these social issues about child labor, about human rights, about labor rights on the farm, right? Issues about deforestation on the farm. Because in Ghana, we also are having some type of an emerging issue with competition with land.
Yeah.
You know, so some illegal miners are buying cocoa farms, are paying off cocoa farmers so that they can mine gold or other precious minerals on their farm. Now, if the cocoa farmer sells the land rationally, it is because he's not making much money from cocoa production, right? So he will sell the land, and that leads to environmental degradation, right? And it goes against our wanting to take that box of making inroads against deforestation, right? Or getting some achievement when it comes to environmental protection, you see. So that's basically what I think the project is going to do.
I promised to ask only 3 questions, but your last sentence actually raised another one, because it shows that actually how many connection exists between the trade, because we were talking about cocoa, but then we mentioned mining. Mining might be linked to, I don't know, electrification of cars in Europe. I don't know what they mine in Ghana, okay, but it might be one of the reasons. So if you could mention one single European legislation that is not directly trade, what would be this? What do you think has the biggest impact on the cocoa farmers, apart from the trade?
That's a very good question. I've not really thought about it. But what I can say is that one of the key things, agreements is the EPA, the Economic Partnership Agreement, and that is meant is meant for economic development, regardless of whether it is product based or not. It's meant for development. So whatever will have to be done so that the other party develops is what that agreement is pushing. But we know that trade is also a way you can influence development. For example, if you open your borders for trade to occur, then you are in a way also eliminating certain barriers that could be there, and will be opposing trade. So if you ask me, I may have to check, but I think that the EPA is a good thing. Just that there are gaps in there which will have to be filled, and it will set us on the right path.
Thanks very much.
Thank you too.
Thank you.